Alright folks, hello and welcome to round 15 and what will end up being the final round of the MoJo Showdown here at Brazil. And I know in my earlier videos I explained the league and I said that this is a full calendar, but that would go on to not be the case. All that outside stuff I will get into later in the video, but for now we got a season to finish. And going into this race, we did not know that it would be the last race. It's something that happened afterwards. But like I said, we'll get into that later. What's important right now is Brazil. And this is like the third or fourth race in a row. It just comes out because it was by random draw each week what the next track would be. It's turned out that we've had 3 or 4 races now in a row where it's a very straightforward softs to mediums one-stop strategy, and I've been absolutely on it tonight. Let me tell you, recording now 3 videos in a row, like we are on it. The caffeine's hitting strong tonight. But yeah, going into this, I could explain to you what I'm doing in the qualifying, but it's same shit, different day. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing it. Make sure your lap is legal. Get the strategy right. Blah, blah, blah. So going into this, Brazil being a pretty strong track for us. Yeah, it's just, like I said, same shit, different day. Just put down a decent qualifying lap. At least put yourself in contention to compete for good points and continue the run that we've had going. And remember, with the worst 3 results being cut out of the points, we are still technically on the perfect season, which is something I never thought would happen, especially with the talents of the likes of Timo in this league. But we've had a lot of luck go our way. We've had a lot of clean races. We've driven very well in a lot of races. And yeah, things have really played into our favor. And yeah, we're going to go in here. What will be our last qualifying session. And there's something that you're going to notice. The keen eye will notice compared to my other videos pretty early on. Let's see if you catch it. You might not have caught it there too much. Let's give it a couple more corners to see if you guys notice the difference. So yeah, hugging the inside there. You don't scrub off speed really doing so, and you make the track shorter. Yeah, you're not going to be able to notice it there, but I'm sure at some point in this lap you will notice that there is a difference in my driving. And let's see if you guys can point it out. You might have caught it a little bit there. Man, I'm doing a lot better in this lap than I thought I did. You can kind of tell a little bit if you don't have the volume up or you're not wearing headphones. You definitely don't hear it. But yeah, I don't want to spoil it quite yet, just in case we have a more obvious moment here as we round the final breaking point. Alright, you didn't really notice throughout the lap. I thought I locked up more than that. But yeah, speaking of locking up, ABS has been disabled for the final race. Like I said, that kind of stuff I'll get into at the end of the video. But yeah, I was not prepared coming into this because something I want you guys to point out, if you can see the telemetry on the bottom of the screen good enough, you know, where it has my throttle and brake input, look at my brake input and look how sometimes my L2 just shakes. This is an older controller. Square just straight up doesn't work 75% of the time. X sticks. And my L2, it's very jittery with its input. So it works enough for having ABS on, and it works enough if I'm playing any kind of first-person shooter where there isn't like an amount that you know, it's not like a pressure-sensitive thing. It's just either you're touching the button or you're not, and I can put the threshold very low so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I have 2 PS4 controllers, and both of them have certain parts to them that don't work as good. Like this one has the good analog sticks, so this is great for racing games, and then the other one has good face buttons and D-pad, so that's good for more like adventure games or fighting games that I would play on pad. But besides the point, yeah, it is frustrating that ABS was removed on us literally on like 10 minutes notice. Now, I know that over time, when the league originally started, they gave us a list of rules and a list of assists that we could use. And they did make it very clear that for next season, it was going to be all assists off. So I didn't really pay attention to it. You know, I signed up for rules. We're chilling, right? And then, apparently they had been debating doing it for a couple weeks now to make the change mid-season. I said making changes mid-season always a bad idea in leagues. I've been a part of many leagues, and making mid-season session changes just takes away from the consistency of the league, and it will cause other issues that we will address later, like I said. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating having basically no time to practice it at all, especially because I'm not as, with my L2 being shaky like it is, I'm not faster with it, I'm slower with ABS off. And I race in other leagues where the level is very, very high, so I can't afford that time loss, so obviously I'm not practicing it going into this. But if there is one thing that I'm good at, I mean, I've been competing in forms of competitive gaming since 2009, and because of that, I've competed in many different games in many different genres. So because of that, you learn to adjust to new things very quickly. So we are at least able to adjust enough to have decent pace, get pole position. But yeah, as you can see here early on, it is going to be an absolute battle between me and Timo here in this race. The status quo has remained like every other race this year, you know, where the rest of the field might be spread out, but me and Timo are just right up each other's chuffs. And this is another one of those races where it could remain as that, because Brazil is one of those tracks where you can break away from the car behind, but because a lot of the corners in the middle sector here are slow speed, it is easier to follow the car closer. So those mid and high speed corners that the dirty air really affects the car more. So there is a decent balance to this track, a little bit on the easier to follow side just because of the length of the two straightaways here, and then after, like here's in right where I'm at right now on the track, and after this in the S, and the fact that they both have DRS zones to them, make it a little bit on the easier side to follow, but still, I still put this track absolutely in S tier in terms of league racing tracks. Just the great balance of being able to overtake, but it also not being a straight up slipstream fest. You will see gaps form in all levels of league racing. Maybe except esports, but that is like the one exception. We have the 20 best people in the world. Yeah, anyhow, as you can see, the driving might be not as spot on as it usually is, but we're still doing decent nonetheless, and I definitely do get faster with it throughout the race, but I'm never at where I usually am. And early on here we have a DNF by Latat. Disappointing to see. Ever since he joined, he was definitely that guy filling in the void that was left when Andrew, Andres, Pac2 Drippy, Barkologist had been missing. They were all kind of that front of the mid, I don't know, like if we have the front runners, me and Timo, they were that next tier, and that whole second tier of the league has been completely gone for most of the league, which is unfortunate in terms of the entertainment factor and also in terms of the constructors battle. It went from being 2 cars versus 2, I mean, started out being pretty much a 3-team battle, which quickly turned into a 2-team battle, which has now turned into a 1-on-1 battle. So basically the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship are literally the same battle, except Constructors is closer than what Drivers is. And obviously, with the lead we had, if we would have known that going into this, that this was the final race, we would have them both clinched. But we didn't know that at the time, so we were still playing the long game in terms of our thought process for the season. We're going green. But yeah, with the ABS being off and our there you go, Englishman is now out as too. He was someone that was pretty much forced off of ABS on this. You know, he signed up expecting to be able to use ABS, and now he couldn't, and because of that, have a DNF. And this, honestly, I'm really sad. You know, he said that he would have finished out the season, but yeah, this did discourge him. He said he wouldn't be returning for another season. Again, that's something I'll talk about later.
Fortunately, the marshals have managed to clear it up.
You hate to see it. He's a great guy. Another,
right,
like I said, that's just Jeff talking about the incident with crazy Englishman there, as the game did weird things there, as there was an accident as a VSC was ending, but it will not cause another instantaneous VSC. But yeah, everything has remained the same here, just me and Timo battling it up front. He is still definitely in my DRS, so like the last couple races, like Spain or even Austria, finding that balance of using enough ERS to maybe try to open up the gap and defend my position, but at the same time not using too much that if he does still overtake me, that I don't have anything to fight him back with. Because if there's one thing it's hard to tell, it's how much ERS is the car behind you using. Especially in a situation like this where paces are a little bit different, because I was not typically on the ABS off. And the way he was driving, I was kind of suspicious that he didn't usually have ABS off, because now that I look back to the, think back to the races, I don't remember moments of him locking up. And also the little inconsistencies I see around corners, I see him having as well. So I believe that he was also running ABS. up until today, I think quite a few drivers, I think more drivers were using it than they were admitting. I mean, on paper, they said it was only me and Crazy Englishman, but then all of a sudden in the race, people were dropping it in Sector 2 under braking. It's just, I don't know, it just seems a little different to me, but at the same time, that's an anecdotal thing, I can't prove that. But what I can prove is that was fastest lap of the race, and that Timo's still up my butt, which is frustrating. But yeah, again, every lap, bringing it to the left side there, you gain a lot of time there, just by knowing that that's the preferred line over following the racing line to the outside. And yeah, just really in a good spot overall. I know I'm in a good spot in the championships, so just cruising, doing our thing, still trying to get used to the ABS, trying to, I mean, it's such a hard balance you have to find because I'm still learning it, so it's not like I have a great feel for it, and I need to find an immediate balance where I still have good pace and I'm pushing decent, or else he'll just pass me and break away and then I lose the race. But at the same time, not locking up or skidding the tires too much. Well, I guess it's the same thing, because extra tire wear. And when you're on a soft to medium strategy, yeah, the tires can do it easily, but it's not like they're fresh at the end of the stint. And not just the time loss when you do so, but also the possibility that the tires just might not be able to make it if you slide them too much. So definitely a balancing act going on with the tires, with the ERS, because of Timo at my butt, but it makes for an entertaining race where it's not just me driving objectively around the track hoping he doesn't pass me. There's a lot of management going on, you know. There is tire management in terms of braking. There is constant ERS management. So yeah, it does still make for a very dynamic race, nonetheless. And as we pull it ahead now, end of lap 7, now beginning lap 8, still nothing has changed. Timo's still in my DRS. We haven't really gone side by side at all or anything like that. Still hovering just behind 50% ERS, and there it is. And there you hear me say it again, the Logan curse strikes again. This entire season, anytime I got near anyone on track that was on lead lap, they just seemed to spun out. I'm guessing Timo just caught too much curb getting on the throttle and counter, like when you're hitting that right-hander, and if you bring it to the left-hander as you're on full throttle, sometimes that can cause you to spin. You know, he could have done that. He could have just been pushing really hard to stay in my DRS. I don't know, I'm not him, so, but either way, fortunate for us in terms of the race, but unfortunate for the viewer in terms of the entertainment. Timo's unfortunately spun, and now that puts us in, yeah, a really good position for this race. I mean, obviously a safety car could bring us together just like that, but if there isn't a safety car from here, you know, that is basically GG's in this race. Which, yeah, that early on in a race and a track that like this I like, you know, like I said, I like winning, I like having success, but I hate seeing it happen like that, you know. I like the fight for it. I like that feeling of like you earning your food, you know what I mean? Yeah, either way, just still trying to manage the tires. And this still isn't a time to relax for me because I'm still very much learning as we drive here at the ABS. It was definitely a challenge, and like even just looking at my brake tracing the whole time as I'm talking, it's just frustrating to see. You can see it like shake all the time, but you see my throttle does not shake like that. It just goes to show, like, you can see how smooth my throttle inputs are compared to my braking. Like right there, you saw it go full to off to half. And all I did was go full and then try to ease it off, and you know, it's just, it's an older controller there. You can see it shaking a lot, and you can see compared to the throttle has basically no shake at all too. So yeah, like I said, it's a frustrating thing for me. I know it's a personal issue, but because of my controller, just running ABS off is just, can I realistically do it? Yeah. Can I realistically, reliably do it? No, because obviously, it's not just my pace, but also that could be like a safety issue in terms of incidents where, like, if I'm going side by side with someone, and those kind of little hiccups in the input can be the difference between me leaving width on the outside and not. So, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, we are still leading the race. 8 people remain in the race, and yeah, we've got a pretty decent gap at this point. Alright, and as you can see, we have now advanced very far into the race. We are now on lap 29. We fast forward, what was it, 19 laps there. And spoiler alert, there is no other safety car. Nothing really happens. I've now pit to my medium tires. I have a huge gap behind, and at the end of the race, I will be pitting on the soft tires to secure fastest lap, if I can put in a decent lap, because I'm pretty sure Timo behind does the same exact thing. And now it's time to address the elephant in the room, or the kitty. Okay, the cat's not there anymore. She came in to mess up my bed I had made and left, but yeah. So, going into this race, like I said, with short notice, we went to a change of no ABS, which is, while I understand the change because they wanted to move towards no assist, doing so on only a 10-minute notice for the race is frustrating because you basically have no time to prepare for that. And when you're someone like me that the L2 just doesn't work properly, or you're someone like Scotsman that's new to league racing and was not ready for the change, or all these other drivers that clearly were not using no ABS the whole time because of the way that people were driving in this race, you will see at the end of the race that the gaps throughout the field are massive, even compared to that of the other races this season, on one of the easiest tracks that we've raced on. Yeah, it was just a frustrating thing to see because I knew that as soon as it got announced, like I said earlier, we're like mid-season changes in a league are always a bad thing. You always want to stay consistent with the rules that people sign up for. And knowing that they said, hey, this will help even the playing field, and I immediately said, like, oh, no, that's not what it's going to do, you know? I've seen this kind of thing happen before. Like I said, I've more than been around the block a few times, and I knew that if you go all assist off and force everyone onto it, what's actually going to do is spread the field more, because people like me that have more experience in games and can adjust quicker are going to do better off than those that are already behind, that are going to do worse off for it. So you can see how that just naturally spreads the field instantly, you know. And it was really frustrating to see because I've only talked with Scotsman briefly a couple times throughout the league, you know, great guy, you know, very positive guy, and just to see him get completely blown up here at no fault of his own and get completely discouraged from the league is, you know, you hate to see it. And they said, like, hey, it was only you and Scotsman. Yeah, that's true, but there's like 8 people regularly showing me. That's a quarter of the league. And, you know, I just hate to see that kind of stuff, and it's frustrating when, you know, like I said, I've been around the block. I knew these things. As soon as they brought it up, I knew exactly what the implication of it was going to be. And there's one thing saying, like, hey, we're just going to do it anyhow and figure out. And then there's the other thing that actually happened, which is just a handful of people just shooting you down and shooting Scotsman down and being very rude about it. It's like, damn, you know, like, everything's good, we're chilling, I'm still gonna show up every week. Nonetheless, I mean, you can make it that I was about to come up with a joke, I couldn't think of a joke, you know. It's too late in the night. This is my 3rd time recording a video today, so yeah, it's like why? It's just, like I said, it's just frustrating to see. There's no reason to jump on me and Scotsman. And another frustrating part about it is you know that the people are just jumping on you being lackeys to the streamer, because every single person that jumped in, whether it was their teammate, people that are even involved with the league, other league racers only show up periodically, they would just say things that when as soon as they said it, you read the message, you know, it's like, okay, well, these people clearly haven't even scrolled up to see 2 messages before to even know what's going on. It's like, hey, I'm just going to throw in my input here and back this person just because, and have no idea of the situation that's going on. And everyone was making, you know, a big deal about it, and really upset people during this, which is the exact opposite of what I wanted. I just want to be the guy that came in here, had some experience, and said, like, hey, I understand what we're doing, but this is what's actually going to happen when you do this. And it just gets shot down so abruptly, you know. It just seemed unnecessary to me, and also kind of silly to me. It's like, hey, like, maybe, just maybe, we know what we're talking about here, and like I said, like, just seeing someone like Scotsman, and knowing that there's other people too, people have messaged me, and knowing that it's not just us two, that get discouraged from the league because of this. The frustration of signing up for one thing and then having to play another. You know, it sucks to see. And I know it's just more of a casual league, and I know a lot of people that are involved in running it are very busy, so that's why we haven't had like additional tryouts and such like that. Like, yeah, that's fine, that's one thing. What I'm saying is you don't got to do anything at all. Don't change anything, don't touch anything, you know, just draw the next race and we're chilling, you know. We're done. And I don't know, I just feel like there was a gigantic misinterpretation with what I was saying and what I was trying to do, and it's just so obvious to that because every message that's sent in response to me is just someone just stroking the back of the moderators and just saying things like, did you read what I said at all? Like, is not comprehending at all. So after these issues went down, apparently, like, I wasn't even aware there was even issues. I thought we were all chilling, it was another day. And then after this race happened, and I had brought up, and Scotsman had brought it up over the course of the next day. Then I wake up to a message the next morning like, hey, and there's me speeding like a dipshit. That was my own fault. I broke way too late. I know that you gotta break way before the red on this track. That's my one. You guys got it. There's my one big mistake this season. You got me. You caught me in. I want to say 4K, but this video is obviously not in 4K. But you get the meme. Well, where was I? I got distracted by myself being a dipshit. So yeah, they announced that it would be, you know, no longer, they're just going to cut the league part, they're just going to have weekly community races, which, you know, I understand. At the end of the day, I first got into the scene in the group because I saw another group of American players, and I've never seen that. I've been doing this since 2018, and I haven't seen that, so I was very encouraged to jump in, and had people asking me questions like, hey, help me out with stuff. People were messaging me to make these videos, people were messaging me what they want to specifically see in the videos, people messaging me, hey, what kind of strategies and stuff to do, and it felt great to be able to help people get that first foot in for league racing, and really help, I mean, I say the American scene, but I care about the non-Americans in the league too, and it's just, I don't know, I feel bad because, like I said, people got upset, and that's the last thing I want to do. I'm very grateful for what these people have done the last couple months. And look at this league. This is the cleanest league you're ever going to see. This is like a straight fucking anomaly compared to the other shit I deal with. Yeah, nonetheless, this is the last race. This is the final lap, and I believe this is going to be our fastest lap of the race. And because this is the last race, that means that we do, I guess, officially win Drivers and Constructors Championship. Which, I wish if we have had that attendance we had in the first couple rounds the whole season, this could have been a really entertaining fight in Constructors, but it didn't really play out like that. Everything with my teammate getting banned, all that, it was really a whole kerfuffle, but nonetheless, doing our part and bringing it home, and with this win, we will actually complete something I never thought I would do in my career, and that is the perfect league racing season. Because remember, worst 3 results cut off, or at least that was what was said in how they were doing scoring. And with our only 3 losses being the disconnect in round 1, the issues in France in round 2, and our absence at Hungary in round whatever the fuck that was, that we do come across the line for fastest lap and complete the perfect season. All wins on the card. Jeff is in there, a 107.3. I don't even know if that's good off the top of my head. And we take our Drivers' Championship number, what is that for me in League? 6? For F1 games, 6, I think. For this game specifically, it's actually only our 2nd. It's been a pretty disappointing year for us. But only my 2nd Constructors Championship ever. I've had a really bad go in terms of Constructors, and yeah, not the most serious league, not the deepest league I've been in, but I like being in these leagues that help build communities. Nonetheless, shame to see it go like this, but I know that it'll be back stronger than ever. It's got great people behind it, and with a new game coming out for one, which brings people into it. Having that going in the next, if they do another season, it's going to be no assists straight from the beginning. That is something that there's a lot of people that really go specifically for that, for the immersion factor, which is, it is great to see. It's a really interesting dynamic when you have people with different skills all committing to full no assists for that extra immersion factor, and everyone being on the same driving type in the game. This create, you know, a very interesting dynamic. They're going to get people for that. And with the game being cross-play, that's going to save a lot of leagues. In terms like, you know, I'm sure everyone watching this as a league racer can name many leagues that are just like piece of shit leagues, but they're all going to get saved next year when there's literally triple the amount of drivers coming into the game. So yeah, it's great to see what will be happening going forward, and I want to leave you guys with this, even though this is my last one for this league and probably for this game. Going into next year's game, I want to do this for every one of my league races. Start making these videos, these commentaries of my league races more of a regular thing, and maybe throw in some other videos about the game as well, but we will see. Nonetheless, you can see the gigantic gaps as I predicted, but that's beating a dead horse at this point. You guys have a good night.